So this video is on installing PFSense into Azure from scratch using the Community Edition version at 2.8.0. So what you'll need is Hyper-V role installed on your computer, and then open up Hyper-V Manager and go New Virtual Machine. Give the VM a descriptive name and make it easier to clean up later. Just put it in its own directory. So you can delete the VM once you've finished with it. Generation 2 is the correct generation. You can uncheck use dynamic memory for this virtual machine. Configure networking. Yes, you want it to be connected to an external network. So you typically might have default switch as that setting on your own Hyper-V, but I've got a custom external switch, so I'm just choosing that. Then we want to save ourselves some money by making sure that we don't have a large hard drive for PFSense in Azure. So I'm just going to set mine to 16 gigabytes. And then we choose install an operating system from a bootable CD-ROM and navigate to that extracted gzipped ISO that you download from pfsense.org. So once that's done, you just hit finish, and then you need to make a few configuration changes in the settings. Firstly, uncheck enable secure boot, and also turn off checkpoints, because you want the hard disk file to stay in one file. You don't want that spread out over multiple files. So once that's all done, just hit apply. I'm going to make just a quick change as well here to put my VM on another subnet, and then we're just going to connect and start the virtual machine installation process. And we accept, and then really it's accept every default except for the version of PFSense. So we go OK to everything. Continue. And then install. OK, and OK, and OK. Yes. And once it asks for the version, let's just put the current stable version in. And once the installation routine kicks off, we can pause the video and wait for it to finish. Okay, so we've gotten through to the end of the installation procedure, and we just click OK and choose to reboot. Now, as the virtual machine reboots, it's quite quick, but if you notice that it gets to probing the WAN interface and it stops and it doesn't pick up an IP address, you know then that you've got an issue with your local network. But here, the first question it's asking is, should VLANs be set up? Now, Azure doesn't use VLANs per se, so we'll just say no, and then we'll just say HN0 as the WAN interface, and then nothing for the LAN interface, and then yes to proceed. Now notice there it picks up very quickly an IP address for the WAN interface, so we know that we've got no problems on our local network stopping it from booting. So wait for it to bootstrap right up till we can see the identified interfaces and their IP addresses, and then we'll continue on with configuring the virtual machine. So it's 192.168.73.44. Let's go open a browser. 192.168.73.44, and first thing we notice is it's redirected to HTTPS and the certificate's untrusted, but it's a self-signed certificate, so you won't need to worry, just say yes. Now the default password, admin and PFSense, and then we just want to go through the wizard, and we can leave all these settings. We might want to change so that we can see time in our local time zone, Australia, Melbourne. Leaving our configuration type to DHCP is good, and we definitely want to set a new admin password because we're going to load it up to the internet and we don't want to have a default password there. So it's just saying reload in progress and it's saying configured. That's good. Now for some settings we want to change immediately. Firstly, it's a good idea to remove the HTTPS port to, let me try that again, and move the TCP port to something high. It's kind of arbitrary, so you could choose whatever you'd like, whatever makes sense to you. We also want to scroll right to the bottom here and choose serial terminal, and we want the primary console to be serial. That's for when it gets into Azure, so we can connect to the serial terminal, and then we want to just save that and just double check that everything's, yeah, so we're good. It's working fine there. So that's all we really need to do to get our virtual machine ready to put it up into Azure from the configuration side of things. So we'll just halt the system, go back to our terminal, and when it tells you how long it's been up for, that means it's fully shut down. So we just have to wait for that to finish. So yeah, that's uptime. Once that's said that, you know that it's basically fully halted. Now what we need to do now is go back into the Hyper-V and go to the edit disk functionality. We want to go find our PFSense virtual hard disk, and we're going to convert it to a VHD because that's what Azure needs, and we want it not to be dynamically expanding but fixed. And just so everything once again is in, we want to call it PFS 2.8.0 CE. No, we'll call it VHD. No, we won't. We'll call it converted.vhd. Let's see how that goes. And next, and convert. So what we now do, we'll pause the video and wait for it to convert that 16 gig disk. Okay, so the disk has been converted. If we can go and see that in our folder here, we've got this converted disk. And what we need to do is we now need to go to Azure, and well, I haven't got myself signed in, but well, let's do that. And we sign ourselves in, and then the first thing we need to do is give ourselves a storage account to upload our disk to. So we want to create a new resource group. I'm going to call it TGNRG01. That's our resource group. I'm going to give the storage account a descriptive name there. I'm going to say it's primarily for Azure Blob storage. It can be standard, doesn't need to be a premium, and it can be locally redundant storage because we're not going to use it for long-term storage. And then let's just review and create that. So once that's done, we've got a place to store our hard disk. Now there is an ability, once this has been created, to upload a disk using the browser, but it tends to be a bit slow. So download and install for yourself Microsoft Azure Storage Explorer, and log yourself in to it. Let's just refresh. And we can see that we've got, we want to create a container, we want to call it OS disk, and we want to upload, and we don't want to upload a folder, we want to upload a file. So let's go and find the folder with the converted disk in it and choose upload. Now, as you can see, it will take a fair while because it's 16 gigabytes and it's running at this speed, so it might be 10 or 15 minutes. So we'll pause the video and wait for that to complete. Okay, so that upload is finished. So if we go to our portal and go and have a look at our storage account and look at our storage in blob containers, we can see that we've got a disk there ready to be converted. So in the next video, we'll start to build out our Azure environment.